Both pilots collapsed at 35,000 feet. 247 people had no idea. A flight attendant grabbed the intercom. Is anyone on board who can fly this plane? The whole cabin went silent. The man in 22D had been watching the woman in 22C since takeoff. Now he understood why. She stood up. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The plane is cruising at 35,000 feet. Somewhere over the dark middle of America. It is 11:14 p.m. Most passengers are asleep, their faces pale blue from movie screens. The cabin is quiet. The engines make their steady, low sound. Nothing looks wrong yet. Marcus Webb is not sleeping. He never sleeps on planes. He is 33 years old. Built like a wall. Jaw like concrete. He is wearing civilian clothes, dark jeans, a gray shirt that fits too perfectly for a regular traveler. He is a Navy SEAL, currently active duty, flying in civilian cover. No uniform. No weapons. Just a travel magazine open on his tray table that he is not reading. He has already memorized every exit on this plane. He has already looked at every single passenger. His brain did what it always does, sorted each one. Threat. No threat. It took him 11 minutes. 247 passengers. 0 threats. In seat 22C, right next to him by the window, is an older woman. Maybe 45. Silver-streaked hair, reading glasses. Plain light blue cardigan. She has been knitting since before the plane left the gate. Blue scarf. Wooden needles. Calm hands, moving without looking down. She looks like someone's favorite aunt. Threat level, absolute 0. Then the plane hits a small pocket of turbulence. The overhead bins rattle once. The woman's sleeve slides up 2 inches. Marcus looks down automatically. Professional habit. Check everything. Always. He sees the tattoo. Eagle. Anchor. Trident. Gun. He knows that tattoo. He has that exact tattoo on his own left forearm. His magazine lowers very slowly. He looks away. Looks back. The sleeve is still up. The tattoo is still there. He is not imagining it. Grace sees, galley, front of plane. Grace is 28 years old. 2 years as a flight attendant. Her biggest emergency before tonight was a child who spilled orange juice on a businessman's laptop. Right now she is in the front galley, preparing the drinks cart. She is thinking about what she will eat when she gets home. Behind her, the cockpit door opens. She turns around because she hears the sound of it. Captain Chen is standing in the doorway. He is 52 years old, 24 years of experience, the kind of pilot who makes passengers feel safe just by hearing his voice on the intercom. Right now he does not look like that man at all. He is holding his chest with both hands. His face is the color of old paper. Gray and wrong. Captain Chen, Grace. That is all he manages to say. His legs give out. Grace catches him. Barely. He is much heavier than she expected, her knees buckle, and she has to press herself against the galley wall to hold them both up. She lowers him to the floor as carefully as she can. She grabs the intercom handset and calls the cockpit. First Officer Rodriguez. No answer. She calls again. Silence. She runs to the cockpit door and pushes it open. Rodriguez is slumped forward over the controls. He is breathing, she can see his chest moving, but he is completely unconscious. His forehead is almost touching the instrument panel. The autopilot light is green. The plane is flying itself. For now. Grace stands in the cockpit doorway. In front of her, darkness, instruments, the radar showing a massive wall of storm building directly ahead. Behind her, 247 passengers who have no idea. Her hand finds the intercom button on the wall. She cannot make herself press it yet. Tommy sees, seat 23A. Tommy is 10 years old. He has a bright yellow tag around his neck that says unaccompanied minor. He is flying to Chicago to visit his grandmother. For the past 2 hours, he has been watching the woman in 22C knit. He has never seen anyone knit before. 2 sticks, some string, and somehow a scarf. He cannot figure out the logic of it, and he loves that. Then, just for a moment, he looks up. He sees the flight attendant, Grace, the one who gave him extra pretzels, running toward the front of the plane. Not walking fast. Running. Her shoes make quick soft sounds on the carpet. Tommy knows things about running. He learned when his dad had his accident 2 years ago. Nurses run differently when something is wrong. They run in a way that is fast but also trying very hard not to look fast. Like they do not want you to notice. Like if they can run without you seeing them run, maybe the thing that made them run is not as real. Tommy knows that run. He has seen it before. He looks back at the woman in 22C. She is still knitting. Still calm. Still the same. Except her needles have stopped moving. Her hands are holding the needles. But nothing is moving. She is completely still. She is listening to something. Tommy cannot hear it yet. But she already can. 3 people noticed something wrong at the exact same second. Only one of them understood exactly how wrong it was going to get. Marcus sees, the tattoo. Marcus has not looked away from the tattoo. Eagle. Anchor. Trident. Gun. The Navy SEAL insignia. He has had his own version of that tattoo for 9 years. He has seen it on the arms of the best operators in the world. He has never seen it on a woman. He runs through what he knows quietly, methodically. Women in SEAL teams, there was a classified program. Brief. Highly secretive. Officially it never existed. He has heard about it in fragments, half a sentence here, a knowing look there. He has never met anyone from it. He studies her hands, still holding the knitting needles. Her grip is wrong for knitting, firm, controlled, the way you hold something when your muscle memory was trained for something far more dangerous. He looks at her posture. Relaxed on the outside. But her back is not against the seat. She is holding herself slightly forward. Ready to move. He looks at her eyes behind those reading glasses. She is not reading. She is watching the reflections in the window, using the dark glass like a mirror to see the whole cabin behind her. He has been trained to do exactly that. Who is this woman? Flashback begin. 15 years ago. A room with no windows, no nameplate on the door, in a building that appears on no map. 6 people, all in black, all facing a commander who is standing in front of a wall covered in photographs and red string. One of the 6 is a woman. She is younger than the woman on this plane. Her hair is dark, not silver. Her eyes are harder. There is no cardigan. No reading glasses. No knitting needles. She is sitting very still, arms on the table, watching the commander the same way a cat watches something it has already decided about. Commander, cross. You're leading the extraction. Yemen. 72 hours. 6 operators, 1 target, 1 way out. If this goes wrong, you were never there. None of you were ever there. This mission will not exist on any document. Is that understood? Elena, understood. Commander, Ghost Stitch, why do they call you that? The woman almost smiles. It barely moves her face. Elena, because when I'm done, nobody can see where the damage was. You stitched the wound so clean, so careful, no scar, no trace. Like it never happened. The commander looks at her for a long moment. Commander, And what happened in Kandahar? Elena, nothing. Nothing happened in Kandahar. He nods. That is the correct answer. Flashback end. Elena, present, seat 22C. Her knitting needles slow to almost nothing. She heard the cockpit door. She heard Captain Chen's footsteps, too slow, too heavy. She heard the sound of someone falling. She heard Grace's quick steps, the cockpit door opening and not closing properly. Elena has spent her entire adult life learning to hear what is inside silences. She knows what those sounds mean. Every one of them. She closes her eyes for exactly 3 seconds. She counts them, the way she was trained. 1. 2. 3. Opens them. Keeps knitting. Waiting. Because this is not her decision yet. She made herself a promise when she retired. She has kept that promise for 4 years. She teaches art to 8-year-olds. She knits scarves for people she will never meet. She lives quietly and asks nothing from the world she used to belong to. She will wait. She will give this situation the chance to resolve itself. She already knows it will not. Tommy sees, the waiting. Grace has not come back. Tommy has been watching the aisle for 6 minutes now. He counted. Nobody from the flight crew has walked through. The seatbelt light came on once, briefly, then went off. He looks at the woman in 22C. Her needles are moving again, but slowly. Much more slowly than before. Like her hands are doing one thing while her mind is somewhere else entirely. Tommy leans slightly forward in his seat so he can see her face. She does not look scared. She does not look worried. She looks like someone who is solving a very hard math problem in their head and is almost at the answer. He has never seen a face like that on an adult. Usually when adults are worried, you can see it even when they are trying to hide it. Their eyes go tight. Their mouths go thin. They look at their phones. This woman's face is doing none of those things. Tommy decides she is either the calmest person on the planet, or she already knows something everyone else does not. Marcus had assessed 247 passengers. He had been wrong about exactly 1. And she was sitting 12 inches to his left. Grace sees, the decision. She has been in the cockpit for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. She knows because she has been counting. Both pilots are breathing. That is the good news. They are completely unconscious, she cannot wake them, cannot get any response at all, but they are alive. She has loosened their collars and checked their pulses. Steady but weak. Some kind of medical event. Both of them, within 90 seconds of each other. She will figure that out later. Right now she needs a pilot. She has called every number in her emergency manual. She has spoken to the airline's operations center, who told her to stay calm and find anyone with flight experience. She has walked through first class and asked every passenger quietly, one by one. One man raises his hand. She almost cries with relief. He is 75 years old, Dr. Howard Finch, a retired airline pilot, 30 years experience. She takes him to the cockpit immediately. He sits in the captain's chair. He looks at the instruments. He looks at the storm on the radar, massive, dark, unavoidable. He puts his hands on the controls very gently. Then he stands up and comes back out. He does not look at Grace. Dr. Finch, I haven't flown anything this size in 8 years. My vision. I can't see the instruments clearly enough. And that storm, even on my best day, I don't know if I could take this aircraft through that safely. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. I cannot do this. He goes back to his seat. Grace watches him go. She stands in the aisle. 247 people. Some sleeping. Some watching movies. A woman laughing at something on her screen. None of them know. Grace picks up the intercom handset. These are the first words she has ever said, in her entire life, that she meant completely. Grace, ladies and gentlemen, this is your flight attendant Grace speaking. I am sorry to interrupt your flight. I need to ask, is there anyone on board tonight who can fly a commercial aircraft? Anyone with flight experience, please press your call button or come to the front of the plane immediately. Tommy sees, 22C. Tommy hears every word Grace says. He hears it perfectly because he has been listening so hard for the past 10 minutes that his ears feel sharp. His first reaction is the exact feeling he had when his dad had his accident. That falling floor feeling. The feeling of the world changing while you are standing in it and not being able to stop it. His second reaction is to look at the woman in 22C. She has put her knitting down in her lap. She is looking at her hands, both of them, palms up, resting on the blue scarf. Like she is reading something written on her palms. Like she is having a conversation with herself that nobody else can hear. Tommy leans forward between the seats. He keeps his voice quiet because something about this moment feels like it should be quiet. Tommy, miss? Are you a pilot? Elena turns and looks at him. She takes her time about it. Her eyes behind those reading glasses are very steady, very clear, very focused. Like two cameras pointing at him. Elena, why do you ask? Tommy thinks about how to say it. Tommy, because you stopped knitting before she even said it. Like you already heard something we didn't. Elena looks at him for a moment longer. Then she looks back at her hands. Marcus sees, the name. Marcus is on his feet before Grace finishes her second sentence on the intercom. He is standing in the aisle, and he is looking directly at Elena. She has not stood up. She is still in 22C. Looking at her hands. He sits back down. Moves close to her. His voice is so low that no one in any nearby seat could possibly hear it. Marcus, Ghost Stitch. The name that does not exist on any document. The name from a classified program that officially never happened. The name of a person who, according to every record Marcus has ever been able to find, died in Yemen 4 years ago. Elena goes completely still. Not the stillness of surprise. The stillness of someone who has been waiting for exactly this. Slowly, she turns and looks at him. It is the first time she has made direct eye contact with anyone on this entire flight. Marcus, Webb. Team 6. I served 2 years after you, after your program. I know what that tattoo means. I know who you are. And those 247 people need you right now. Elena looks at the cockpit door. Then at the blue scarf in her lap. She thinks, just for a second, about the homeless shelter in Chicago. About the person, she does not know who, she never knows who, that this scarf was going to keep warm this winter. She folds the scarf carefully. Each fold precise and deliberate. She places it on the seat. She stands up. Marcus exhales one long breath. He did not realize he had stopped breathing. Elena, you tell nobody what you saw on my wrist. Not before. Not after. Not ever. Marcus understood. She does not thank him. She does not look at him again. She walks toward the front of the plane with the quiet, unhurried certainty of someone who has already decided everything. Marcus sits back in 22C. He picks up his travel magazine. He is not going to read it. But his hands need something to do. He has updated his assessment. 247 passengers. 0 threats. 1 asset. 1 extraordinary, impossible, terrifying asset. Elena, the cockpit. Grace is standing in the galley doorway when Elena reaches the front. They look at each other for exactly 1 second. Grace, can you actually fly this? Elena, yes. Stay out of the cockpit. Keep the passengers calm. Tell nobody what you know about me. Grace steps aside. Elena goes in. She closes the door behind her. For a moment she just stands there. Rodriguez slumped in the right seat. Chen's jacket on the floor. The instruments glowing green and amber in the dark. Outside, cloud, lightning in the distance, and on the radar screen a storm cell that looks like a wall. She sits in the captain's seat. Adjusts it without thinking. Her hands find the controls the way hands find something they were trained to hold a long time ago. She checks the autopilot, engaged, holding altitude and heading. Good. She checks fuel. 52 minutes. Not good. She checks the storm on radar. Worse. She looks at Rodriguez beside her. Young. Maybe 30. A wedding ring on his left hand. She looks at the radio. She takes one breath. Then she picks up the handset and does the only thing she knows how to do when everything is wrong and time is short and there is no one else. She gets to work. James hears, Chicago Center. James Park is 54 years old and has worked air traffic control at Chicago Center for 22 years. He has talked down 3 emergency landings in that time. He knows what a bad radio call sounds like, the voice too high, too fast, the words coming out in the wrong order because the brain is flooding with adrenaline. The radio crackles on the emergency frequency. Elena, Chicago Center, this is Flight 1847. Declaring emergency. Both flight crew incapacitated. I have the aircraft. James sits up straight in his chair. He has never heard that exact sentence combination before. James, Flight 1847, confirm both pilots are incapacitated? Elena, confirmed. Both unconscious, breathing, unknown medical cause. I need current weather at O'Hare and vectors away from the storm cell on my nose. In that order. James, Flight 1847, identify yourself. What is your qualifications? A pause. Not a panicked pause. A thinking pause. Elena, passenger. Former military. My qualifications are sufficient for this aircraft. James looks at the radar. He looks at the storm. He looks at the fuel readout that the airline's operations center has just sent to his screen. 52 minutes of fuel. A massive storm cell directly in the path. 247 souls on board. He picks up the radio. James, Flight 1847, I'm going to need more than sufficient. Elena, no you're not. Weather and vectors. Now, please. James has heard panicked voices. He has heard voices that were crying so hard the words barely got through. He has heard the voice of a pilot who knew he was going to crash and said goodbye to his family on the radio while James listened and could do nothing. He has never, in 22 years, heard a voice that made an emergency sound like a mildly inconvenient scheduling problem. He starts giving her the weather. James Park had talked down 3 emergency landings in 22 years. He would later say, this was the only time he felt like he was the one being talked down. Marcus sees, from the cabin. He can hear her through the cockpit door. Short sentences. Numbers. Directions. Requests so calm and precise they barely sound like requests at all. He has flown in helicopters with generals who did not sound like that. The businessman across the aisle, who spent the first 3 hours loudly on his phone, is completely silent. A man 2 rows back is crying quietly. People are awake now. All of them. A passenger grabs Marcus's sleeve. Passenger, who is flying the plane? Who is that? Do you know her? You were sitting next to her. Marcus, the most qualified person on this aircraft. Passenger, but who is she? Marcus looks at the cockpit door. Through it, Elena's voice asks for a barometric pressure reading in the same tone someone would ask for the time. Marcus, nobody you'd recognize. Tommy sees, with the scarf. Tommy has moved from 23A to 22C, the woman's empty seat. It just felt like the right place to be. He is holding her blue scarf. Soft, softer than he expected. Still warm from her lap. Grace comes and crouches next to him in the aisle. Grace, hey. You okay? You should really be buckled in your own seat. Tommy, is she going to save us? Grace looks at the cockpit door for a long moment. Through it, Elena's voice says something short and precise that Grace does not fully understand, but that sounds absolutely certain. Grace looks back at Tommy. Grace, yes. She says it without hesitating. She is a little surprised by that, by how certain she feels. 30 minutes ago she was standing in the cockpit doorway unable to press the intercom button. Now some part of her that she cannot fully explain has decided that everything is going to be fine. Tommy nods. He starts counting the stitches in the scarf. He does not know why he does this. His fingers find the yarn and he starts from one end, tracing each loop. It gives his hands something to do. It gives the fear somewhere to go. James hears, Razor 1. The military has scrambled jets. 2F divided by a -18s from a naval air station. James has been coordinating with the military frequency for the past 8 minutes. Protocol. They appear off the wings of Flight 1847, close, steady, their navigation lights blinking in the dark like a promise kept. Lead pilot, call sign Razor 1, checks in. Elena switches frequencies without being prompted. She knows the military channel, knows to move there before anyone asks her to. She gives Razor 1 a situation report. Numbers, headings, fuel state, storm position. Clean and fast, the way operators communicate when every second costs something. Then Razor 1 stops responding mid-acknowledgement. Razor 1's co-pilot, Razor 1. You with me? Nothing. Razor 1's co-pilot, hey, buddy, Razor 1, talk to me. A long pause. Then, very quietly, directly to Elena. Razor 1, say your call sign. Silence from Elena. James has both frequencies open. He is supposed to be managing 14 other aircraft right now. He cannot look away from this one. The silence is 8 seconds long. He counts every one of them. Then. Elena, ghost stitch. James does not know what that means. He does not know the call sign, the program, the classified file that says she died in Yemen 4 years ago. But Razor 1 does. The sound that comes through the radio next is unlike anything James has heard in 22 years. Not crying, something deeper. The sound of a man finding out that something he accepted as gone has impossibly come back. Razor 1, ghost stitch. We were told, the mission in Yemen, they told us you didn't make it. We had a memorial. I carried the flag. I thought. Elena, I know what they told you. I know about the memorial. Can you give me the storm gap data, or not? 3 seconds of silence on the military frequency. Then Razor 1, pulling himself together the way soldiers do, methodically, piece by piece, starting with the voice, speaks again. Razor 1, copy, ghost stitch. Storm cell moving northeast at 18 knots. You have a 40-mile gap opening on your left, bearing 275. Gap will be maximum in 11 minutes. I'll take you through it personally. I am not leaving your wing. Elena, I know you won't. Tommy sees, the scarf count. Tommy hears the radio faintly through the door. He cannot make out the words clearly, just the sound of voices, the rhythm of people who know each other saying things that matter. He looks down at the blue scarf. He has counted 847 stitches. He is not entirely sure he counted right, so he starts again. His fingers move carefully from one end. The yarn is smooth under his fingers. Someone's hands made every single one of these loops, he thinks. One at a time. One after another. He thinks about the woman in the cockpit, doing the same thing, one decision at a time, one action after another, hands moving with the same calm focus. 847 again. Same number. He will never forget that number. Razor One had attended a memorial service for Ghost Stitch. He had carried a folded flag. He had not slept properly in 3 years. And now her voice was in his headset asking for storm data like she had never been gone at all. Marcus sees, the bank. The plane banks suddenly hard left. It is not smooth, the nose drops slightly before the turn, the wings tilt sharply, and for 3 seconds everything loose on the plane goes sideways. Overhead bins rattle. Cups fall. Someone's laptop slides off their tray table and hits the seat in front of them. Outside the left windows, lightning. Not distant lightning. Close lightning. A white-blue crack that fills every window on that side for a full second and then is gone. People scream. Real screaming, the kind that comes from somewhere below thought, from the part of the brain that is very old and very simple and knows only one thing. Marcus does not move. He watches the cockpit door. He counts to 3. The plane levels. Perfectly. Smoothly. Like a hand placed it there. The screaming stops. People are breathing hard in the silence. Marcus allows himself one thought, she is good. Then he corrects it. She is extraordinary. James hears, runway 10L. Elena, Chicago Center. Storm gap is narrowing faster than projected. I need O'Hare runway 10L. Clear it now. James, 1847, runway 10L currently has 3 aircraft on final approach. I can vector you to. Elena, 10L is the longest runway at O'Hare. I need the length. Clear it. James looks at his supervisor, who has been standing behind him for the last 15 minutes watching this unfold. His supervisor looks at the radar. Looks at the fuel state. Looks at James. He nods. James switches frequencies. His voice is completely professional, completely calm. James, all aircraft on 10L approach, all aircraft, break off immediately. Emergency priority landing in progress. Go around. Go around. All aircraft on 10L, go around now. 3 pilots, confused and some of them frustrated, peel away from their approaches. One of them asks for clarification. James does not have time for clarification. Runway 10L goes empty. The longest runway at O'Hare Airport, lit up in the dark, sitting there waiting. James looks at it on his screen. He looks at the blip that is flight 1847, 12 minutes out, descending. He thinks, come on. Whoever you are. Bring them home. Marcus sees, the approach. He has moved to a window seat on the left side. The F/18 is there, just off the wing, navigation light steady and unwavering. Razor One has not drifted an inch. He thinks about what Razor One did on that radio. A Navy pilot, breaking like that at the sound of her voice. From grief that lived quietly for 3 years, coming out all at once. The businessman from earlier grabs his arm again. Businessman, are we going to make it? Just tell me honestly. Are we going to make it? Marcus looks at the F/18 off the wing. Steady. Unwavering. Like a promise. Marcus, yes. He has never said that word with more certainty in his life. Grace sees, the walk. She walks the cabin one final time. Checking seatbelts. Stowing loose items. Telling people to put their tray tables up. Doing the job. At some point in the last hour, the fear became focus. All the things that are not important right now fell away. What is left is simple, keep these people safe until the landing. She stops at seat 22C. Empty. The scarf is gone, Tommy has it. But the seat still holds a faint impression of where Elena sat. Her reading glasses are on the floor. Grace picks them up. Holds them for a moment. Then places them carefully on the seat. She keeps walking. When she reaches the back of the plane, she sits in the jump seat. Buckles in. Looks at the cabin, all these people, scared, holding each other. She closes her eyes. Not from fear. From the first moment of real trust she has felt since this started. Tommy sees the runway lights. He is buckled tightly in seat 23A. The scarf is in his lap, both hands holding it. He has counted the stitches 3 times now. 847, always 847. Outside his window, the earth has appeared below them. Dark and spread out, the lights of Chicago, thousands of them, orange and white, spreading in every direction like a constellation that fell down. Then the runway. 2 straight lines of white light stretching out ahead of them, long, straight, perfectly clear, like a path someone lit up just for them. Tommy presses his face against the window. His breath fogs the glass. He whispers at first, just to himself. Tommy, I can see the runway. Then he says it again, louder, because it feels like the kind of thing that should be said out loud, that should be shared. Tommy, I can see the runway. His voice carries through the whole cabin. It cracks a little on the second word, the way a 10-year-old's voice does when something is bigger than his words. People look at him. Some of them look out their windows. Some of them start crying. Some of them laugh. One woman says thank God out loud, just like that, plain and simple. The collective breath of the cabin changes. The held, frozen, terrified breath of the last 2 hours. Just slightly released. James hears, final approach. He has cleared the airspace. Emergency vehicles are staged at the end of runway 10L. He has done everything he can from this room. Now he can only listen. Elena's voice on the radio. And for the first time in this entire emergency, just slightly, just a fraction, something in her voice has changed. Not fear. Not hesitation. Something heavier. The weight of what is in front of her, acknowledged and carried. Elena, Chicago Center. Flight 1847. Final approach. Runway 10L. James keeps his voice steady, professional. James, Flight 1847, you are cleared to land. Runway 10L. Wind 270 at 12 knots. Altimeter 29.92. You have the field. A pause. 3 seconds. James adds something that is not in any manual, not in any protocol, not in any training he has ever received. He says it because this woman has been in his headset for 40 minutes, carrying 247 people through a storm and a gap in the dark, and he does not know who she is, but he needs her to know one thing. James, bring them home. Elena, copy. Marcus sees. 400 feet above the runway. Razor 1 suddenly brakes hard right, he peels away from the wing fast, pulling up, his afterburners lighting the dark sky for a second as he climbs. Marcus grips the armrest. Why would he? Grace sees. The plane shudders. Not turbulence. Something different. Something sudden and violent that comes from the air itself, from the invisible geography of the sky. Tommy sees. The runway lights tilt. The whole world tilts sideways and then tilts again the other way, like the plane cannot decide which way is down. He grips the scarf with both hands. He does not close his eyes. James hears. Elena's voice on the radio. The first and only time tonight she raises her voice at all. One word, sharp and fast. Elena, shear. Then silence. James is out of his chair. The plane drops. 300 feet above the runway. It drops 70 feet in 2 seconds. A wind shear, a sudden invisible wall of air that pushes the aircraft straight down like a hand pressing on the roof. Every person on the plane goes weightless for a moment. Stomachs to the ceiling. Loose items float briefly. Then pure sound, 247 people screaming. Not words. Just sound. The oldest sound humans make. Tommy squeezes the scarf so hard his knuckles go white. Grace's back slams against the jump seat. Marcus's hand finds the headrest of the seat in front of him. James stands at his console, watching the altitude readout on his screen, watching the numbers fall like someone dropping them. The ground is very close. The runway lights are very close. James hears, recovery. 2 seconds of silence that feel much longer. Then Elena's voice. Flat. Calm. As if the last 2 seconds did not happen. Elena, recovered. Continuing approach. James sits down. His legs are not working correctly. He has to check that he actually sat down and did not just think about sitting down. Tommy sees the runway lights rushing up, blurring into lines, the white turning into speed. He counts down without meaning to. 3. 2. 1. Grace sees. She feels the exact moment the wheels touch the runway. The vibration comes up through the floor, through the seat, through her back. She has felt hundreds of landings. This one feels like all of them at once. Marcus sees. The wheels kiss the runway. Smooth. Controlled. Deliberate. The plane settles like it was placed there by careful hands. He exhales. One long, slow breath, all the way out. Razor 1 screams overhead, a victory pass, low and fast, afterburners blazing against the dark Chicago sky. Marcus watches him go. Then quietly, so quietly no one can hear him. Marcus, ghost stitch. A pause. Marcus, ma'am. James hears, the last transmission. Elena's voice, one final time, steady and complete. Elena, Chicago Center. Flight 1847. On the ground. 247 souls. All safe. James Park puts down his headset. He puts his face in his hands. His colleague puts a hand on his shoulder and leaves it there. James, did you hear that voice? Colleague, the whole center heard it. James, who was she? Nobody answers. Nobody knows. The plane rolls down the runway. The engines reverse. It slows. 3 seconds of silence. Then Tommy, still holding the scarf, starts clapping. Both hands. Hard. His yellow unaccompanied minor tag bouncing against his chest. It is always the child first. Then the whole cabin. All at once, all together, 247 people, clapping into the dark. Marcus sees, the last meeting. Passengers are filing off the plane. Some of them are crying. Some of them are on their phones before they even stand up, calling their families, saying I'm okay, I'll explain later. Some of them are laughing the shaky, disbelieving laugh of people who have just been scared past the point of laughter and come out the other side. A woman hugs Grace in the aisle. An elderly man shakes her hand with both of his. Someone hands her a business card, she does not know why. Marcus stays in his seat. He waits. Elena comes out of the cockpit last. She has Rodriguez's jacket over her arm, she must have used it as a blanket for one of the pilots. She stops when she sees Marcus still sitting in 22D. She looks at him. He stands. He is not an especially formal person. But right now he stands the way you stand for someone. He looks at this woman, plain cardigan, reading glasses still somewhere back in 22C, silver-streaked hair slightly undone now, who just flew a commercial aircraft through a storm and a wind shear and put 247 people on the ground alive. Marcus, on behalf of Team 6, it is an honor. Elena goes back to seat 22C. She picks up the reading glasses from the seat where Grace left them. She puts them in her cardigan pocket. She looks at the space where the blue scarf was. Then she looks at Marcus. Elena, don't tell them. Marcus, tell them what? Something moves in Elena's face. Not quite a smile. Something quieter than a smile but more real. Elena, exactly. She walks off the plane. He watches her go. She does not look back. Tommy sees the scarf. Tommy is the last passenger to leave the plane. The gate agent has been waiting for him. She is holding a sign with his name on it, and she looks enormously relieved when she sees him. She reaches for the scarf. Gate agent, I'll hold that for you, sweetie. They'll want to keep you together while the authorities sort everything out. Tommy, no. I'm keeping it. She blinks. Gate agent, it's not yours, honey. Tommy, I know. But it was going somewhere. Someone made it for someone who needs it. I'm going to make sure it gets there. The gate agent looks at this 10-year-old boy, still wearing his unaccompanied minor tag, holding a half-finished blue scarf like it is the most important thing in the airport. She decides not to argue. 3 days later, Tommy walks into a homeless shelter in Chicago. He gives them the scarf. He tells them a woman on a plane made it for them. He says she was really good at knitting. He does not mention the other thing. James hears the last radio call. Chicago Center has been quiet for 20 minutes. The emergency is officially over. James is writing his incident report, which is going to be the longest and strangest incident report he has ever written. His radio crackles. Emergency frequency. No aircraft is currently assigned to that frequency. Unknown voice, Chicago Center. Thank you for the vectors. James picks up his headset immediately. James, Flight 1847, is that you? Who is this? Static. The kind that happens when someone keys and then releases a radio. Then, faintly, so faint he has to turn his headset volume all the way up, a voice. Elena, nobody important. The frequency goes silent. It does not crackle again. James sits for a very long time. Long enough that his colleagues start to notice. Then he turns back to his incident report. He scrolls down to the field that says pilot identification. He types one word. Unknown. The Navy SEAL filed no report about what he saw on her wrist. He never mentioned it to anyone, not his team, not his commanding officers, not even his closest friends. When people asked how the emergency was resolved, he said a passenger landed the plane. That was all. That was everything. The investigation found the cause 3 weeks later. Both pilots had eaten from the same crew meal tray, a chicken dish prepared at a catering facility at the departure airport. A contamination issue. Completely accidental. Captain Chen recovered fully after 4 days in hospital. First Officer Rodriguez was discharged after 2. Neither of them ever learned the name of the person who landed their plane. The airline's official statement said the aircraft was brought down safely by a passenger with aviation experience. Nobody asked more questions. Nobody looked too hard. The flight attendant Grace quit her job 3 months later. Not from trauma. Not from fear. She enrolled in flight school. She said that a woman on one of her flights showed her something she could not stop thinking about. She does not know that woman's name. She never learned it. She does not need it. Tommy kept the scarf. He delivered it himself, on a Tuesday afternoon in December, to a homeless shelter on the south side of Chicago. He told the woman at the desk that a lady on a plane had made it, and that she was really good at knitting, and that she wanted it to go to someone who needed it. The woman at the desk said thank you and put it with the other donations. Tommy nodded. Then he went home. James Park retired the following spring, after 23 years. His colleagues threw him a party. Someone asked him about his most memorable call. He usually told the story of the 1998 approach that had 3 aircraft converging on the same point. Tonight he thought for a long time. James, a woman. A plane. 247 people. And the calmest voice I have ever heard in my life. Colleague, who was she? James smiled. He picked up his retirement plaque. James, nobody important. That's what she said. She was knitting a scarf for someone she would never meet. She landed a plane for 247 people she would never see again. She asked for no credit. She left no name. Ghost stitch. You stitched the wound so cleanly. Nobody can see where it was. She had been doing that her whole life.